Jai Shriman Narayan.
Jai Shriman.
Jai Shriman Narayan.
Jai Shrimanarayan.
Jai Shriman Narayan.
Jai Shrimanarayan.
I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to our Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to our 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi, and I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally and internationally, and I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world subsequently. And I also want to welcome those that's watching this discourse on TikTok. So today is a great day to have satsang and discourse as the souls that are held in a dimension which is secured for ancestors before they take on other forms. They have been released for a 16-day visitation on planet Earth. And I want to answer all the intricate questions in this regard going through, but the context of this discourse is still the soul. So what happens is this release of ancestors only for those that call themselves Hindus. What happens to the Christian ancestors? Who feeds them? What happens to the Jewish ancestors? Who feeds them? And what happens to the Muslim ancestors? Or are there different worlds where Hindu ancestors live, Christian ancestors live? So to answer this, we need to understand that the Abrahamic faith only believes in one life, yes? So in their religion, they're not going to have a concept of Pitra Paksh or ancestors. And then, although it is a sensitive topic, we have to, God gave us sense, common sense. We have to understand this through common sense. So we need to understand who the Supreme Lord is first. Supreme Lord has to be absolute. If the Supreme Lord is absolute, he can have no bias. What is bias?
Favor one way, no prejudice.
Yes, the Creator Lord. You can have many lords, but the Creator Lord can have no bias. Yes? Because why Jessica must have a big mouth and Sita must have a small mouth? How can you justify Sita's mouth and Jessica's mouth with the equal God? No, I'm serious. I won't put it the other way around, otherwise Satish won't believe in the satsang. If Jessica has a small mouth and Sita has a big mouth, then Satish will say this is not a true guru. I'm going to go and join the happy clappers. Yes, we had, I was just discussing outside satsang that there are so many people that were in the satsang were so close to liberation. And liberation only comes through knowledge by a bona fide spiritual master. And because their karma is so severe, they could not attain liberation Now they went and became happy clappers and washing murti and throwing things into bonfires, and they have lost their liberation. So beware. Knowledge might not make you clap happily, but your clapping can never take you to God. Your clapping can never take you to the Supreme Lord. Throwing things into fire can never take you things to the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, everyone can go to the Supreme Lord. Yes? Anyone can light a fire anywhere and you can throw into the fire and go to the Supreme Lord. So just be very, very careful, because they say spirituality is like a menorah blade and you can cut yourself. And it saddens me, really saddens me, that there were people for many years here. And the funniest part about my satsangs is people left after many years. They didn't leave when they came in and found something they didn't like. They stuck around for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. And you might want to know why. It's because the surrender wasn't full. Your surrender must be full and total. So they always left a gap. They always left a gap. You can't have two masters. In metric, you can't have two teachers for the same subject. Yes? In any standard, you can't have two teachers for the same subject, because each teacher will take that subject uniquely. If one teacher is teaching you geography, you can't have two teachers teaching you geography, because that teacher, the teacher's uniqueness and your uniqueness all synthesized will create a platform in your mind to assimilate all of this knowledge. Yes? So I want to discuss this in Pitra Pax. It is important. I thought if you go through my discourses, all my discourses are on YouTube, and you'll notice that all these people that I picked on, I didn't pick on them because I had something against them. I knew their karma and I know their expiry date, and I picked on them so that they can clean away their karmas and remain in the satsang, like Avir catches it now and again. Alright? Because I want you to stick around, so I have to give you the rod. And if I give you the rod, then the rod will make you realize that you need to stick around. Sanatana Dharma is not a religion. It is not a set of rituals. Sanatana Dharma is knowledge of you, the universe, and the Supreme Lord. And that's all you need. You need knowledge on who you are. You need knowledge on what is comprised within this universe. And you need knowledge on who the Supreme Lord is. Yes? Because you need to traverse from yourself through the universe to the Supreme Lord. If you know these three things, and these three things you can't get this by happy clapping, by dancing, all this everywhere. You can dance in a nightclub, can you? Yeah, you can dance in a nightclub, won't take you to God. Do you understand? So all these frenzies, this dancing around the world, no one has reached liberation through dancing. Because dancing is an art, it is not a science. Then again in Sanatana Dharma, people break away from the original trunk of Sanatana Dharma, and we should discuss this. Discussing the soul, we need to discuss this. There is a huge fraud going on. When we look at the material world, and if something has a copyright, and if you use that which has a copyright, is it not fraud?
Yes.
Is it not fraud?
Yes.
You're a criminal, aren't you? If you take a part of a book, that has a copyright enforcement on it. It's called plagiarism. Yes? So the Vedas is a copyright of whom? The Creator Lord. And if you take any part of the Creator's knowledge and create something of your own, is that not fraud? Then the essence of that fraud, now you make a following. Is the following not fraudulent?
Yes.
Are you understanding? So I want to explain this in a way it was never ever explained in this world. Go and look for it, you're not going to find it. But I need to put this in his perspective. So we call the Supreme Lord by his attribute, because you cannot name the Supreme Lord. If you name the Supreme Lord, then you're limiting him. Yes? Can you limit, can anyone limit the Supreme Lord? No. Not even he himself, yes? So, we cannot give a name to the Creator Lord. If we give him a name, then he's confined and he's limited to that name. So we call him by his attributes, by his infinite attributes. And one of his attributes is the source and goal of all living entities. Is that not an attribute of any Creator God?
Yes.
Source and goal of all living entities. In Sanskrit, because it was the first language, source and goal of all living entities mean Nara. We also call him, and one of his attributes is all attractive. Is all? Should the Creator God not be all attractive? Can anything be more attractive than the Creator God?
No.
He has to be the most attractive, yes? And all attractive means in Sanskrit, Krishna. Then we also call him the source of all pleasure. Must the Creator God be the reservoir of all pleasure? Because everything we derive it from the Creator God, so he should be the source of all pleasure. And from in Sanskrit, that in one word is called Ram. Yes? So these are not names, these are attributes of a Creator God. Then there is a hierarchy. There is a hierarchy. What hierarchy means?
The lines of importance.
Yes. So, again, this is not a name, but for the purposes of the language, the only language I know is English. Me, myself, I do not know Sanskrit. The language I know is English. So I must explain this Creator God in the language that I know, and from this language, the Creator God will be called the source and goal of all living entities. Let's make it easy. Source and goal of all living entities. That is the hierarchy, source and goal of all living entities. Then for the purposes of creation, he creates the working committee. He creates the working committee. Does this happen in huge institutions?
Yes.
On the human level? The working committee? Does it happen? So So the working committee is this Creator God, the source and goal of all living entities. He transforms himself into an all-pervasive entity, and he pervades everything in this universe. He transforms himself into an all-pervasive entity and pervades everything. He pervades every living entity, and he pervades every non-living entity. And pervading everything is called Vishnu. Pervading everything is called Vishnu. Then he enters a living entity and teaches him to be the engineer of this universe. He guides him from within and teaches him to be the engineer of this universe. And the engineer of this universe is a title, is not a person. I want you to understand this. This is a misconception in Sanatan Dharma, or that so-called Hinduism. So I'm giving you this hierarchy. It's called Brahma. Brahma is a post. Brahma is a post. If Vasan continues to be loyal to his guru and loyal to the system as he has been from the day he entered this ashram, then he can also be entitled to be Brahma. It is a living entity exactly like me, you, the rat, the cat and the snake. A living entity that has now been given this title as the engineer of this universe. I'm calling him Lord Brahma from respect, but he is exactly an individual soul like myself, you, the soul in a plant, the soul in an insect, the soul in a snake. That soul is exactly the same, but because of austerities and penances and loyalty to the system, that personality that accumulated devotion to the Supreme Lord gets that post. Navir, you can't tell your father who was in the municipality, phone that contact there, hey, I'm the son, and push me there. You can't, in that world there, you have to graph. There's a word called graph. You have to graph it out. You have to graph it out, and you'll be noticed through your actions. And there are times when there are no suitable candidates, then the Lord himself, the Creator God himself, manifest fully and take the role of Brahma. Okay, is it making sense? Is it making sense? Then you need another entity for the purposes of creation, who is called Lord Shiva. Who is called Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is also a living entity, a soul, like myself, you, and the rest. And that Shiva is a post. That post has its own characteristics and attributes. And when you, the soul, fit into that post, then you display that attributes. Difficult to understand? Like when you are in a plant, then you display the attributes of a plant. And When you enter a human body, you display the attributes of a human body. Is it difficult to understand? No. So similarly, Lord Shiva is a post. Like you get deputy president. Who is the deputy president of South Africa? Paul Mashatile. He personifies the deputy presidency, does he not? He personifies, if you say deputy president, the person deputy president is Paul Mashatile. Alright? So for this 5 years, if he doesn't get poisoned again and successfully poisoned, for the next 5 years, Paul Mashatile will be. The Guru is saying poison, they saying sick. What Guru is saying? Poisoned, alright? Later you'll find out he has been, I don't know, did they find out already?
They say food poisoning.
Oh, they said food poisoning, okay. Alright? Like when Guru said COVID was a big act and nobody wanted to believe Guru, remember? We had one doctor here, she was very, very upset when Guru said COVID is a big mockery. You understand? Is COVID a mockery? We found out that COVID was manipulated. Yes? Created, manipulated by certain people. It was not what it was. Yes?
Yes.
And did Guru call it out?
Yes.
Okay. So, similarly, this creation is 311 trillion 40 billion years, and that personality that's holding the post of Lord Shiva, he won't be poisoned, he's a master of poison. Lord Shiva, he drinks poison, yes. Alright? So nobody going to poison him out of that position. That same soul will be there for how long? 311 trillion 40 billion years. That soul will display that attributes of Lord Shiva. That soul in the post of Brahma will display the attributes of Lord Brahma for 311 trillion 40 billion years. And Vishnu is essentially the same Lord Narayan. He has entered into the working committee. Understanding? And below that is Lord Indra, and below that are the 330 million cosmic administrators of 33 kinds. Of 33 kinds. 330 million cosmic administrators of 33 kinds. So that is a verdict, injunction. It's a constitution called the Vedas by the Supreme Lord himself. Okay. You cannot take one personality from this hierarchy and say that personality is the Supreme God, because you break in the copyright. All those that say Lord Shiva is the Supreme Lord, you can't steal him from the working committee and now say he is the Supreme Lord. That is fraud, is it not?
Yes.
Because who came first, you or the Vedas? The Vedas came first. Man came after the Vedas. Man came after the Vedas. Man came after the constitution. This constitution does not belong to man. This constitution belongs to God. The constitution in your country belongs to man. The constitution of the universe belongs to God. So there are many people who have stolen Lord Shiva. Yes or no? And they call themselves Shaivites. Yes?
Yes.
Under what authority they took? Why didn't they create something of their own? Please understand where I'm going with this. The Vedas came first. The Vedas came first. Man came after the Vedas. This post called Shiva, personified by the current living entity, was inserted there by the Supreme Lord. How can you claim copyright of this personality? Can you? You cannot, okay? But I'm going to, as I always do, I'm going to conclude with common sense so that you can understand. And as I'm saying, this discourse has not been done anywhere in the world. You cannot find it anywhere. It is through my realizations. A bona fide spiritual master must realize the Vedic injunctions. A bona fide spiritual master must realize the Vedic injunctions and express it in his own way. But when expressed, it must be found in the Vedas. Okay? So I want to go back to Pitra Paks, but let me just conclude this. Who is the wife of Lord Shiva? Who? Mother Durga. Yes? Parvati, Mother Durga said. Right? So Lord Shiva's wife is Mother Durga. How many sons does Lord Shiva have? Which three, Dana?
Ganesha, Lord Muruga, and there's one that was cast into the sea.
Okay, let's concentrate on the two sons. Which are the two sons? Ganesha and Muruga. Ganesha and? Is Muruga one of the sons?
Yes.
Yeah. And Ganesha. And the mother is Durga. Now you need to use your common sense, alright? Common sense, even people with doctorates, most of the time don't have common sense. Yes? Common sense is an endowment by God to everyone. This doctorate is created by this European education system, not created by God. Doctorate means nothing in reality. It means repeatedly learning something and spewing it out gives you a doctorate and PhD. Is it a? Huh? 1 plus 1 equal to 2, 1 plus 1 equal to 2, close your eyes, 1 plus 1 equal to, spew it out then. It doesn't mean you're intelligent. Common sense is you must come out of this box. They imprison you with this education, don't they? Aren't you imprisoned by education? You need to come out of this box, out of this prison of Western education, and that is called common sense. Alright? So yes, common sense. So Lord Shiva is the father, the mother is Durga, the son is Ganesha, and the other son is Muruga. So South Indian is going to get very upset with me that's listening to this discourse, but I want them to use common sense. I'm finding my answers using common sense through the scriptures. Through the scriptures. So this Bhagavad Gita is written by whom? Written by whom? I'm not going to go to the verses, but in this Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna says, I am the beginning, the middle, and the end. I am the creator, I'm the sustainer, and I'm the annihilator. Does Lord Krishna says that here?
Yes.
Does he show all his forms?
Yes.
And in another verse he says, I am Shiva. He says, I am Shiva. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes? There was an agreement made between Vedavyas and Lord Ganesha. Vedavyas and Lord Ganesha. That Lord Ganesha would transcribe the Mahabharata on condition that he understands every verse before he puts it down. He understands every verse before he puts it. He writes the verse. That is a condition, yes? And he must write 100,000 verses non-stop. Have you seen the tusk of Lord Ganesha, one of the tusks broken? Why is it broken? Because that which he was using at first, when it couldn't be used anymore, and because of the condition that he cannot stop, the only readily available instrument was his tusk, which he broke off and continued writing. Who's doing all this? Who broke his tusk? I just told you, Lord Ganesha broke his own tusk because he had a condition and an agreement with Vedavyas that this 100,000 verses of the Mahabharata must be written in continuity. So the initial instrument that he was using, when that could be used no more, Lord Ganesha broke his tusk. And I'm asking you now, first I'm giving you the answer, then I'm asking you, who broke his tusk to continue? Who? Lord Ganesha himself. Alright? Broke his tusk. Who is Lord Ganesha's father? Who? Who is his mother? And who is his brother? Hear me again. Lord Ganesha's father is? Lord Ganesha's mother is? Lord Ganesha's brother is? When Lord Shri Krishna stated that I am the Supreme Lord, I am the beginning, I am the middle, I am the end. I am the seed-giving father of all living entities. What did Lord Ganesha do? Did he write it down? What I stated, is it in the Bhagavad Gita?
Yes.
Did Lord Ganesha write it down?
Yes.
He is the only writer of the Bhagavad Gita. If that was not true, because the condition is, do not write anything that you do not understand. If his father was the Supreme Lord, hear me again, would the son have written that somebody else was the Supreme Lord?
Never.
Is the penny dropping? Because I can see everyone dumbfounded. The son of Lord Shiva writes that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who writes that? Then who the hell are ordinary human beings to say Lord Shiva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? When Lord Shiva's own son declares in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shiva's own son declares in the Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what happens to the Shaktas. You all heard of the Shaktas? Who are the Shaktas? Who? Those who say Mother Durga is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do you get these followers in I won't use the word Sanatana Dharma, but in Hinduism?
Yes.
What they say? She is the Supreme Personality, the Shaktas. But what is the sun saying? Om Sun. So can there be any doubt whatsoever? Can there be any doubt whatsoever that Lord Shiva is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead? There can be no doubt because his son is the scribe. His son is the scribe, and he took this conditionally, that he will only scribe what he understands. And if his father was the Supreme Lord, then his understanding will be, his father is the Supreme, that's his understanding, yes? And if his mother was the Supreme Lord, then his understanding will be his mother is the Supreme Lord. So now I'm going to have more haters. But people know this. People know this. Humans know this, but they don't want to be reminded of the truth. They rather wallow in their ignorance. Yes? Don't they want to wallow in their ignorance? Because I go to Utshavan to NA meetings, and somebody came to me and said, "Hey, Guru, many years ago, I saw you on YouTube. Now I'm having a conflict." I said, "What's your conflict?" He said, "No, I believe in Muruga. But I'm being pulled to read the Bhagavad Gita. I'm being pulled to read the Bhagavad Gita." So I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "No, in the Bhagavad Gita, happened, yeah? In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, but I am a follower of Muruga." And I could see and feel his confusion, and I could feel him being torn apart. His family tradition going back generations, is to worship Lord Muruga. The reality in Sanatana Dharma is Bhagavad Gita, and he's caught in the center. So I sat and I explained to him that whatever your family has been doing does not mean it has been true. And I also explained to him who wrote, Muruga's brother wrote the Bhagavad Gita. So the interconnection is still there. We need to understand the hierarchy. We need to understand the hierarchy. Again, I'm saying we need to understand the hierarchy, and no one has the right to take any entity from the Vedas. No one has a right to take any entity from the Veda and create your own entity. Does it make sense? Why you want to go, if you want to create something, why don't you create it on your own individuality? Why you want to steal it from the Vedas? Do you understand? Lord Shiva belong in Sanatan Dharma. You cannot create your own Sanatan Dharma. There are only 4 spiritual universities. There are only 4 spiritual universities in Sanatan Dharma. And that 4 spiritual universities are as follows. It's there. It is there in the Padma Purana. And the Padma Purana is a Sattvic Purana. Sattvic means it is endorsed. It is endorsed in Sanatan Dharma. And the 4 universities is, one belongs to Mother Lakshmi, one belongs to Lord Brahma, one belongs to Rudra, and one belongs to the Kumaras. 4. There are only 4 sampradayas that is recognized by the Supreme Lord. There are only 4 routes that you can come to the source and goal of all living entities, and He created the 4 routes. Lakshmi, Brahma, Kumaras and Rudra. Shiva is one of the heads of one of these universities. Do you understand? But now what you're getting in the world, and this is what amazes me, because this is what I've been teaching for all my 10 years. Whoever came to me, and if you go back in all my discourses, I've been teaching very, very distinctly that there are only 4 spiritual universities. But where you think my devotees are gone? Where do you think they gone to? What did they learn? And many of them were transcribers. When I was recording this, they were transcribers. That means they were taking the voice and putting it in writing. There are some gurus now that created their own sampradaya. And they gone to these gurus who created their own sampradayas, which are not in the Vedas, but they're using the symbols. They're taking the trademark. They're taking the trademark and they're creating their own. Is that not fraud and theft? Huh? Because the first thing a real guru, a bona fide spiritual master must be, he must be 100% disciple of his guru. 100% disciple of his guru. And his guru must be 100% disciple of his guru. And if you carry on tracing the previous guru, you must come to one of these 4 sampradayas. So if somebody created his own sampradaya, where's his guru? If you created your own sampradaya, where's your guru? Are you understanding? Even Yajvan is finding this amazing. Mind boggling. This is absolutely mind boggling. But I have to call it out. I have to call it out. If I don't call it out, then who is going to know the difference between a bona fide spiritual master and a fraudster? Because it is fraud. No one gives you the right to use some trademark from the original Sampradaya and create your own. And you notice all these people who do that, they make themselves greater than God. Go and research, go and check these people. And not too hard, follow the people that left here, now they're posting. Then go do a research on those gurus, and you'll find that the gurus have attained a godlike status. A bona fide spiritual master will never attain a godlike status. He'll always be a servant of the Supreme Lord. He'll only be a servant of the Supreme Lord. You can make him out through his service of the Supreme Lord that he is a servant. So coming back now, and I did this discourse specifically so that our pitars who are here today, this is their food. There is no satsang in Pitra Lok. When they are dead, they wish to have a bona fide satsang, not happy clapping and throwing ingredients in the bonfire. They want this type of truth. They want, this is the food. This is the main food and main ingredient that they are taking back home. Okay, so our question was, before I started going into the in-depth of this discourse, what happens to all the other souls that do not belong to those of us that do this ritual? And even those of us that do this ritual, 90% of them are doing it wrong. Right? So if somebody was smoking, they light one cigarette. Somebody was eating meat, they cook the best meat dishes and leave it there. Somebody was drinking, they put a nip of drink. And that is 100% wrong. 100% wrong. So, God is amazing. God is amazing, and He links everything to Him for discipline. He links everything to Him for discipline. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna says, you can offer me a leaf, fruit, flower, or water. So He made it very, very clear what He must be offered. Primarily, who do we make this offering to? In Pitra Paksh, we cook a variety of food. To whom is the initial offering made to? Made to Lord Vishnu. Made to Lord Vishnu. Anyone saw in the Mahabharata Lord Krishna puffing away? Is there any verse in the 100,000 verses that Lord Ganesha wrote, Lord Krishna is puffing away? Don't forget there's all. There's also they light a pipe. Nadine is shocked. There's also a pipe there, Nadine. Have you all ever found a verse in the Mahabharata that Lord Krishna is pulling a pipe? Have you ever found a verse in a Mahabharata, Lord Sri Krishna eat a nip somewhere? Nothing. Eating his chops, chicken, fish, trotters, liver. Nothing in the Mahabharata, nothing in the Bhagavad Gita. Satish, enjoying it? So the initial food that we take, and I said, look at the creativity and the brilliance of the Supreme Lord. How He unites Himself, how He unites Himself, the source and goal of all living entities. He unites Himself to you and Him currently. You and Him currently, then He goes through all your ancestors, reaching up to Him. Look at the brilliance of this. Uniting Himself and you, the living entity, and then going back to all the souls, leading up to Himself. Is that not brilliance? This is the only time on this planet where the Supreme Lord rejoices with the living and the past. Is it not beautiful that every soul that existed on this planet, in this universe, is now harmoniously together? Then you take that offering, because the soul, when they enter from Pitralok to Mitralok, this is Mitralok, the place of death, they come in a light energy. Energy is in a light form. And when you put this food in fire, the essence of the food is transmuted into light energy. Yes? And they can partake in the essence of the food. All of you understand? Jessica is thinking how she should send Satish Bhai in a backyard with a big tray and a knife. So this is a time of rejoicing. I can't see a more divine time than when all our ancestors, we've been through billions of lifetimes, they are all around, we are around, and the Supreme Lord is around. Can there be a more joyous time than this? Then why do we make Pitra Paksh a negative thing? Vasan, you hear one noise on your roof, when you duck in behind 18. Vasan? These are our people. God is our people. This is the most auspicious time. And I want to tell you something. In my life, it was in this time that business opportunities came to. It was in this time, over many years, that we opened businesses. Don't you think my ancestors are happy with me? And they blessed me. They're closer to the Supreme Lord, aren't they? Don't you think they became my contacts? You know, like how everyone wants contact. And if you please your ancestors, don't you think they will be the genuine contacts because they're closer to the big O to have you blessed? But what you have to do? You have to observe this period because it's a verdict, injunction. observe it for the whole 16 days. No matter when you perform your prayer, observe it for the entire 16 days. Let them bless you abundantly. Some of you need a lot of blessing beside the Guru and God. You need your whole line of millions of ancestors blessing you. And Sanatana Dharma is a science. So look at it mathematically. How many ancestors you think you had? 155 trillion years has already passed. 155 trillion years in this creation has already passed. Just for 16 days, if you please those ancestors, and if each one of them bless you, what a bank balance of blessings you got. Yes? You understand? And this is an absolute truth, it's a scientific truth. You know my Guruji? He used to leave his body and go to Pitralok. Guruji could go to any lok. In fact, he's been through all the lokas. Guruji used to leave his body and go through all the lokas. He used to be buried for 40 days. He used to go to a specific place and ask his family to bury. And they must only take out his body. Vasan, after you were with me when we got this information, you and I were together. Guruji has been to every plane. To every plane. Did Guruji open the Sri Sudarshan Sampradaya? Yet he is the foremost Guru in the world. There's very few that can touch even one atom of him. If he didn't open his own university, and he was one of the greatest, what you can think of these lesser fakes? What? I'm being serious. And we need to expose these fakes. Guruji has been through all the dimensions. He left his body, he took a ride, he went through all these dimensions. He saw what is happening there, he came back and he informed us. And most of the clarifications that I give you comes through the system because I am a disciple of my Guru and I get these discourses that I give you. It's from my Guruji, endorsed by the Vedas. Endorsed by the Vedas. So there are a whole lot of things. Okay, did I answer the question? What happens to all these other pittas? Satish, when you taking out food? Next week. When you take out food, you take out food also in your prayer, you include all those that are not doing Pitra Paksh. And they come, they still partake, but they partake from the food that we took. So yesterday we took out. It was raining the whole day. Yes? At half an hour before we took the food out, it stopped raining. And when we were taking out the food, there was a slight drizzle. Slight drizzle means we got this drizzle throughout we taking food out, even when it is absolutely hot. That drizzle is a signification that the food was accepted. Alright? So yesterday the heavy rain stopped, but when we took out the food, slight drizzle, and all those pitters, all those ancestors who cannot get food from their own people, they come and partake of food in this section. So don't forget, invite them. so that it's covered. Does that answer you? Does it answer you? Yes. So why are we not seeing all these Pitalvas? Why are we not seeing all these Pitals? They are in. So I just want to conclude this discourse with again common sense. So our body is automated to vibrate at a certain frequency. Our body, human body, is automated to vibrate at a certain frequency. At this frequency, we have limited hearing, limited sight. At this frequency, we have limited hearing and limited sight, because the frequency is actually sound. Yes? Frequency is sound, and we vibrating at a certain sound. I want you to do me a experiment. All of you hold your ears. What you heard? The vibration. Didn't you feel the vibration? When you held your ears, then you felt a vibration in your. That vibration of a human being is at a certain frequency, and that vibration allows you to see a certain distance and hear a certain distance. Right? And I use the word human being. Then you get a bird is vibrating at its own frequency that can see a speck of rice from 5 kilometers in the atmosphere. You get a bird that can see a speck of rice from 5 kilometers in the atmosphere. Is that true? Is it true? Then you get Lakshman, our dog, that will smell another human being or another dog or a cat right up the gate, hundreds of meters away, because Lakshman is vibrating in another frequency. Yes? So, is that common sense? Common sense that you don't have to go too far to understand. So we are a species that's vibrating at a certain frequency. We cannot see a whole lot of things. We cannot smell a whole lot of things at a distance. And we cannot hear a whole lot of things at a distance. So Guruji mastered every frequency that's on this earth. What Guruji did? And if you master all the frequency, you can manipulate the earth, can't you? Because this entire earth is moving at a frequency itself. Is it not? Is not everything frequencies? So if everything is a frequency, and if one can master all the frequencies, can't you manipulate the earth? And that is how Guruji could change a girl child into a boy child, because he manipulated the frequency. That is how Guruji could change water into ghee, because he manipulated the frequency, and that is how he could change ghee back into water. Alright? And there was a point at the ashram where excavators, the rock was so hard that TLVs and excavators could not flatten the rock. So what Guruji did? He inserted a frequency in his tea that he was drinking and threw it over the rocks, and the entire place came flat, and the Sri Siddhartha Ashram, the Divya Dham, is now built on it. You understand? So there's nothing magical. You need to learn the frequency. Everything is in sound, and this is why I'm saying, I'm telling these idiots that the knowledge is more important than happy clapping and throwing into this fire. So fire, there's a deity that represents fire. Yes or no?
Yes.
And what is the name of that deity? Agni. So that is a post. That is a post. And to invoke that member that is occupying the post of Agni, you light a fire. But to talk to that entity, Agni, to have communication with that entity, you have to know your meters of your mantras. When you say, "Oh Agni Dev," you have to express that in a certain frequency, because Agni Dev can only be invoked at a certain frequency. Now you take some ingredients, Om Agni Dev, Om Agni Dev, Om Agni Dev, Om Agni Dev, Om Agni Dev. You just creating a bonfire. You just creating a bonfire. You are not reaching that frequency, because if you take all these Havan people, is the tone the same? Some will say fast, some will say slow, some will rub the smoke in the eyes and then continue. Yes? They didn't go on Google, see how many, YouTube, you and Vasan, do a research and see how many people are doing Havan, and what their tones are. Because your voice box can vibrate at various pitches. You need to learn the right pitch. You need to learn the right pitch, and the posture of your body assists you in the pitch. Posture of your body assists you in the pitch. Go, Vasan, go 5th of May 2019. See if you can find our Pancharatra Agama priest doing a Havan where you're sitting. And you'll see that his voice, the pitch of his voice was constant, and he had a posture. The posture together with the pitch will give you the right frequency to reach whichever Devi or Devta that you are invoking. Whichever Devi or Devta that you are invoking, the pitch, the meter in which you're reading, and your posture. And this comes from years of training. In fact, it comes from 10 years of training, where you can perfect the mantras. So this is why I am saying there are no qualified priests around to give you that, to invoke that which we are throwing in the fire. And this is why I'm saying ovens are useless unless you use it to purify the atmosphere, because the ingredients that you put in there purifies the atmosphere. And if you go and make a fire outside, you make an oven outside, and you put ghee in it, then ghee converted into a chemical strengthens the rays of the sun and induces quicker rain. Induces quicker rain. Do you understand? These are the reasons why we do. So Guruji, you'll find him at Havans all the time, because he should invoke all the deities and the deities should do all his work for him. Guruji should invoke the deities and all the deities should do Guruji's work for him, because he had the right frequency. But did he open his own Sampradaya, Sri Sudarshan Sampradaya? He followed in the Sri Sampradaya without diverting from. I have not seen any other Guru that got all the 330 million Devis and Devtas at their control. At their control. Guruji had 330 million Devis and Devtas at his control. He just said, right, you go there to South Africa. There's a person, his name is Shami Singh. You need to follow me. He stopped following me 2 years ago. Go and wake him up. Then one of the Devis and Devtas came and woke me up. You understand? This is bona fide. This is bona fide. It is scientific. It is scientific. So when you look around, most of you don't know you don't know. Most of you don't know that you don't know. Then when you meet a Guru, then you start to know that you don't know. You start to know that you don't know. And a Guru must not be out of this world, happy clapping, singing. All those things not going to take you anywhere. It's not going to take you anywhere. Guru must give you knowledge, and the knowledge will take you where you need to go. And that knowledge must come from scripture. And I'll give you an example. If you need to go to a place you have not been before, and you got your GPS, you got your GPS, the GPS does not sing along the way to your destination that you did not know what it does.
It falls.
She informs you. She informs you. Yes? Knowledge takes you to your destination. Turn left is a knowledge. Clap, clap, you turn left. Sing, sing, you turn left. Throw ingredients in the oven, you turn left. When will you turn left? Huh? When you got the knowledge, when somebody who knows where you want to go, somebody who knows where you need to go, when that person gives you true knowledge, you'll reach a true destination. Are there any questions? So the ancestors are around. They'll be around up until the 2nd of October. Think of them. Think of them. Discipline yourself. Discipline yourself. It's only 16 days. and God is with them. It's also a time to get closer to the Supreme Lord, because everything is intertwined. You, the Supreme Lord, and ancestors. So there are 7 sages at creation. How many? 7 sages at creation, and we all come from those sages. We all come from those sages. So if we go back, then we'll be separated into 7 streams until we reach those sages. So I just want to complete that even those sages are our ancestors, aren't they? And who's our original and oldest ancestor? Supreme Lord. The Creator Lord is the most ancient ancestor, is he not? So when you combine everything, this is a state of absolute bliss, a state of absolute divinity. Utilize this time. That is why God created so many prayer times. Utilize it. All right? Anyone got internet? Yeah, now. Just look at prayer, what prayer means. Got it, Vasan? What prayer means?
A solemn request for help or expression of thanks addressed to God or another deity.
A solemn
Request
for
help or expression of thanks addressed to God or another deity.
Okay, so that is prayer. Okay? So in prayer, you're requesting for something or you're giving gratitude. You're requesting for something or you're giving gratitude. My advice to you is don't request. Because you're going to request for something. God is so big. You're going to request, and that is why most of humanity suffers, because you request for something that is so little and God gives it to you, but it is limited. And He can't give you more because it's an exact science. If you said you want 20 cents, then God gave you 20 cents. It's not an exact science. Then after you got the 20 cents, now you realize you want 30 cents, then you blame God. Then you blame God. So my suggestion to you is only give gratitude for what you and what you don't. God, I thank you. I have 1 million rand in my bank account. And I also thank you for the countless amount of more money you're going to put there. Wasn't it right? Do you understand? Then you give in God an option. Then you give in who knows best for you. Who knows? God. Why are you telling Him you know best for yourself? So in this Pitra Pax, give God gratitude for what you have and what you don't have. Put God in a corner. Put God in a corner, because God says, when you surrender to me fully, I become your instrument. And when do you surrender to God fully?
It should be all the time.
When you stop asking. When you stop asking, aren't you in full surrender? Then God will start working for you. Vasan, you can stay there, Mountbatten and Drive. God will go Kimberley. Suffer in the cold. Install a few aircons here and there. You think that's a joke, huh? Trick question I got, Vasan.
Always a good question.
Always a trick question. So this is where we are, this Pitra Pax. Always give gratitude to everyone, even your enemies. Even your enemies. See, I give gratitude to all the devotees that are happy clapping, because they gave me an opportunity to give this discourse. If no devotee left me and became a happy clapper, I won't find it necessary to give these range of discourses. If they didn't join fake gurus, I wouldn't find it necessary to expose these fake gurus, you understand? So I give gratitude to them for allowing me to give bona fide Sanatan Dharma discourses. You understand? I have to thank them immensely, although their karma took them away. But I, from my side as a guru, I don't look at their faults and their karma. I only look at the benefits for the ashram. Do you understand? All of you? So, I speak at length once a week. And I've been doing this for many, many years now. And I see sometimes some of you said, I wanted to say yawning, and Dana just yawned. But at his age, he's allowed to yawn. But I want to give off. This knowledge becomes a burden on my shoulder. And I need to give as much of it as possible so that my shoulders become light. And you take this knowledge and preach to people that you know, because in the Bhagavad Gita, right at the end, Lord Sri Krishna says that the person who distributes this knowledge is the dearest to me. The person who distributes does not mean only the Guru. Whoever distributes this knowledge that I teach you becomes dearer to the Supreme Lord. So go out there in the world and you'll meet people. You will meet people. Don't try to convert them. Just give them this knowledge. That you're a soul, you are not this body, you are a beautiful soul. Whatever is troubling you today will go away tomorrow. Like it was raining yesterday, but it doesn't rain forever. You can see the sun is trying to pierce the gloomy world. This is the form of this material universe. So always have gratitude for everyone. Your friends, your enemies. Have gratitude for what you have and have gratitude for what you don't have. And I'm going to teach you scientifically how, when you have gratitude for what you don't have, how it can materialize as we move along. And it's connected to the soul, because you are in the body and the body needs So, if you are hungry, is it a desire when you want to eat? Wasn't? If you're hungry and if you want to eat, is it a desire? No. It's a necessity. Because if you don't eat, will there be a vasan there? So it is a necessity. So when you want to eat, eat freely. If you want a house, is it a desire or a necessity? It is a necessity, go buy a house. If you want a car, is it a desire or a necessity? Do you understand? Don't let these gurus bluff you. Don't let these gurus bluff you. There's a difference between desire and necessity. But Vasan, one house is, okay. Unless you're in the business of property. You understand? One car is also enough. Limit your necessities so you don't fall into trouble. You understand? Because everything belongs to God. The car belongs to God. The house belongs to God. Everything belongs to God. So whatever is a necessity, you are allowed to give gratitude. So you start giving gratitude. Thank you, God, I got such a beautiful house, but you're living in a jondol. Where are you living? But what you say? Thank you for it. And one day what will happen? You'll be living in a beautiful house. Jai Shri Manna.